What it do, Durag Nation? I've been playing the launch version of Monster Hunter Wilds with the Day 1 patch so I can help you decide if it's worth a buy. As I typically do on this channel, I'm going to quickly tell you everything you need to know because I respect your time and don't like making videos longer than necessary. So just tap that like button if you got any value from this video so YouTube will share it with the next person. This is of course a no spoiler review. So I played Monster Hunter Wilds on the PS5 Pro because I wanted the best experience possible as a console enjoyer. I played on a 240Hz monitor and took advantage of the game's impressive performance settings. The game supports 120Hz output, though they warn this doesn't guarantee 120 FPS because that depends on the quality of your display. Mine was good enough, so I played with frame rate uncapped with balanced performance settings, but you can prioritize either frame rate or resolution and cap FPS at 40 or 30. The gameplay didn't look dramatically different when I prioritized resolution, so I stuck to balance so I could still have the ray tracing because this is a truly beautiful game. The art direction, the details of the characters and environments, and of course, the monsters all look stunning. The scale of the game makes the visuals even more impressive with not only active NPCs, but animals and insects everywhere, dynamic weather. The world truly feels alive. The only thing that really looks rough are the normal cutscenes. The motion capture doesn't always line up with the words, but it's a minor issue, especially when compared to all the incredible action scenes and environmental shots. Similarly, the combat also felt really good. It took me a bit to get used to all the controls, but the game does a good job of introducing you to its combat systems, which will be familiar to fans of the Monster Hunter series, besides some new weapon mechanics that were added to freshen up the experience. Focus mode lets you more precisely aim your attacks and guards in the direction your camera is facing. This allows you to precisely target wounds and weak points on monsters. Hitting those weak points triggers the focus strike, which does massive damage to the monster while inflicting stun. I love the focus strike animation you get with the dual blades. It makes me feel like I'm in Attack on Titan using ODM gear to bring down a giant. You can't spam the same weak point though. The wound will close, leaving a scar, and you'll have to attack a new spot. I spent the first chapter getting a feel for different weapons, from which you have a lot of different options and playstyle choices. The coolest thing was not only could I change weapons anytime and practice them in the training area, but you later unlock a second weapon slot. So it was fun planning which secondary weapon I should bring on hunts to complement my primary weapon and playstyle. I started out with a dual blade and blowgun combo, mixing fast close range strikes with ranged attacks, but ended up really enjoying having the gun lance as my secondary because it allowed me to break through armor, do huge damage, and guard. Combat was a blast, getting to know each unique monster and figuring out the best way to attack it. Playing with others was even better. I typically play a lot of games solo, but Monster Hunter Wilds gives you tons of ways to play with others. I didn't expect much since I'm playing with a review copy, so I'm one of the few people in the world that even has access. But the 3 times I used the SOS feature to call in backup, I always had people drop in to assist me, and it definitely was a lot more fun than solo hunting. Performance stayed buttery smooth even with 4 players and all our attacks going off at the same time. You can look for an SOS to respond to, join different hunts, and of course, form clans. If you do stick to solo play, you still have your trusty feline companion who levels up with you and also has upgradable gear. The cat was mostly useful in combat, distracting the monsters, setting traps, and providing timely healing. But your sea cray is definitely the most useful. It's basically a chocobo from Final Fantasy that not only is needed for getting around the map, but also an essential combat companion that lets you escape if you take too much damage, fight with different weapons, or stay out of range of a monster's attacks before going back in close. It really adds a cool dynamic to a game that is honestly overflowing with things to do. For the most part, I stuck to the main quest line without getting caught up in resource farming, engaging in dynamic hunts, or side content beyond the recommended amount. I also defeated every monster on the first try without fainting, yet it took nearly 10 hours just to finish chapter 1. Story typically hasn't been a high point of Monster Hunter, but this time around, they are definitely making a point to improve the narrative quality. It's a seemingly straightforward story of exploring an unknown continent and helping a lost child, but I was invested right away. It has really good progression and pacing, the new characters we meet are fleshed out and interesting, and I was honestly looking forward to finding out what happens next just as much as I was to fight some monsters. Since it's a Monster Hunter game, as expected, food is also a big part of the experience, and has some truly delicious meal cutscenes so far for those that are into that, like me. As usual, the food provides your hunter with temporary stat boosts and perks. Of course, the main way you'll get stronger in this game is by upgrading your weapons and gear. As expected, you can use the parts you find by mining, foraging, and hunting monsters to get new gear, which is handled by the blacksmith Gemma. In addition to sometimes gifting you materials, Gemma will also give you upgrade recommendations based on your playstyle, which I thought was a nice touch. The gear has unique designs, but if you don't like how they look, you're given the option to just not display them visually while still getting the benefits of the perks. I really appreciate the amount of customization in this game, especially the character creator, which can easily take several hours of your play session. Dragon's Dogma 2 had the best character creator I ever experienced, but Monster Hunter Wilds isn't too far behind. For the male settings, I tried to create Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen, which I thought turned out okay. Then for my actual playthrough, I decided to make a cool Lara Croft type female warrior, but had to give her the Sasuke eyes. I loved how it came out, and I look forward to playing around more with the creator. If you're a fan of the Monster Hunter series, I feel like this game is a must buy. Just give your wallet over to Capcom now. However, for those who are new to Monster Hunter, I also think this game is worth picking up. I played a lot of Dauntless, but didn't really vibe with the last Monster Hunter when I tried it out. However, Wilds has done a much better job of making the game more accessible by not just having great tutorials, but giving both players who prefer story and those who prefer combat plenty to do in this game. Monster Hunter Wilds is available everywhere February 28th, and I will truly be shocked if it doesn't end up as one of the nominees for Game of the Year in December. This is a game you're not going to want to miss if you're even remotely interested in this genre.